Hi, this is John of Trish and John's Gardening Channel. Today is June 5th, 2015, and it's been just about 2 weeks since we planted our peppers and some of our tomatoes, and we wanted to give you a quick update, let you know where we are, kind of how things are going. We had an interesting week. We were in the 80s last week, and the beginning of this week we had torrential downpours. We got about at least 2 inches of rain, and now, you know, the week has turned out to be beautiful. We're in the high 70s and about 50-ish, high 50s in the evening. So, and it's supposed to be that way for the next 4 or 5 days. So I think it's perfect for where we are in the garden, and hopefully, you know, we'll see the garden really start popping. First up, we got the Walter D's 2007. I last planted these in 2007. I forgot I had the seeds. I went ahead and planted them, and so far so good. They look good. These are an Italian plum tomato, and I'm looking forward. I got 2 of those in the garden, and I'm hoping to, you know, hopefully they will do well. I've got a carryover sunflower from last year. We got a couple of those. This is actually these 3 here, this one, that one, and that one. Those are all black crim. Now you see, I planted some in the ground directly in the soil. I dug down about 2 feet or so, amended the soil with a good potting soil, actually garden soil and vermiculite and perlite and azomite and whatnot. So I think these will do quite well in the ground. I prefer, though, to put them in these grow pots. You can see that grow pot there is settled quite a bit. I'm going to have to come back and fill that in. I'll fill that in just about to the top. This here is sunflowers. It's about a kind of a short sunflower, 3 to 4 foot tall. These are, you know, these guys here, and then the smaller ones here, those are bachelor buttons. So again, I've got 2 of those pots. Again, I use the grow pot so I can move things around, but these are coming up nicely, and hopefully we'll have some flowers in the garden. You can see there I planted some marigolds here and there around the garden just for some companion planting and to attract some bees into the garden. This is a pink brandywine right here. We've got a carbon tomato here. This is probably one of the prettiest ones at this point in time in the garden. It's doing quite well, has a good color to it, good size. Now, one thing I did want to mention, these plants are about 90 days old or so since I planted the seeds. I planted them all right around February 28th, I believe, so just about 90 days or so. Now, what I also wanted to show you here was we repurposed these watering cans. I used these to carry water here to the garden, and they last about 2 years. You know, the watering can, and they start to crack and whatnot. So I've repurposed these. We planted some 4 o'clocks, you know, fill it with dirt, and you can see there, hopefully you can see that, there's some 4 o'clocks starting to come up. Those are from last year. I had those planted in the garden. We carried the seeds over from last year. So again, we didn't have to buy those. We just saved the seeds, and looks like we're going to have a good set of 4 o'clocks flowers growing in the garden this year. This one here is a Paul Robeson, doing okay. It's got some buds there, if you can see that. I may snip those off. I don't want these to start fruiting this early in the season, so I may come back and take care of that. I've got another grow pot with, again, the sunflowers and bachelor buttons. This is an Amana Orange tomato. This is doing really well. I've got about 4 of those in the garden, and you'll see in a minute here, this is the one that we used to graft. It's actually one of the survivors, or the lone survivor of our grafting trial this year. So we'll be showing you that in another video. Next one up here is a San Marzano. This, we weren't actually going to plant this, but we were in the garden center and we saw the seeds were from Italy, and we went ahead and got those. Trish liked those, so we went ahead and picked those up, and they look good. So another carbon tomato. This one not doing as well, but you know, as the other one, but still looks pretty good. Next up, we've got our Amana Orange in the pot, in our grow pot there. This one's ready to go in. This is going to be part of our trial, our comparison to the grafted tomato. Again, the Amana Orange graft versus an ungrafted plant of the same, you know, same vintage, same age, whatnot. So in another video, I'll be showing you the planting of our Amana Orange grafted and ungrafted tomatoes. So as you can see here, when I plant directly, actually, even if I don't plant directly in the ground, I dig a deep hole about 2 feet deep or so, and then I amend the soil. And as you see here on these other grow pots, I'll then plop the grow bag on top of that. So, you know, in that way I could let the roots not only fill the grow pot, but they can go as deep as they want into the soil and pick up nutrients, and as well it's better for water conservation. You know, on a drought tolerant condition, the roots, the taproot can go way down and pick up that rain if I miss a day or two of watering. Now you can see I've got my grow pots, one each. I'll be planting those in a little bit. Now this here, real quick, again I'll be showing this in another video, but this is my lone survivor for grafting. Hopefully you can see that right there in the center shot. That's where we grafted the top half is an Amana Orange Heirloom Tomato, and the bottom half is a Maxifort Rootstock, and kind of an experiment for us. We're happy that we got at least one to the graft to take. So it's taken very well. So again, we're going to be planting that today, and I'll do another video on how we plant that and then what we're going to do to track that one throughout the season. So let me come over here. This is what we're going to be planting. One of the things we're going to be planting today is our cucumber. This is a Market Moore. Cucumbers don't do well here in the garden. I seem to have a lot of cucumber beetles and whatnot that love to come and destroy my cucumbers, but we're not going to be deterred. We're going to try it again this year. I've got a lot more cucumbers. I'm just going to go ahead and put this one in and kind of as a trial, let him go a couple days, and I'll put the rest of them along this row here. And I've got the fencing here for trellising, so they could climb up and kind of vertical gardening here. All right, so the next up, we've got 3 or 4 sun gold tomatoes. They're kind of spindly. They do start out this way. I found a little bit more so this year than last, but these will come right back. I'm confident that we'll be having plenty of sun gold tomatoes this year. It's one of my favorites, a little oranged tomato, and they do quite well. Those we put directly in the ground, as you see. This one here, not doing too well. You know, I'm not going to pull him up though. I think he's going to come back okay. He'll probably get some suckers that come up and actually overtake some of these. But I'm going to leave this, and I'm sure he'll do well in the long run. We've got more sun gold. This plant, I'm not sure what it is, to be quite honest. I kind of mixed up my pots. So it says Paul Robeson there. I don't know if that's what it is. That's my current guess. So we'll just let this guy go, but he looks pretty good for an unknown, you know, type of plant. I'm not sure what I've got here. It's looking pretty good. You could see I've got 2 stems there. Now what I've done, that's this guy, and as well as that one over there and some of these others, I plant them very deep. So I cut them, I top them off early in their life, you know, cut just the top half of the plant off. They propagate 2 suckers, which become the main offshoots, and then I bury this guy really deep. Actually, the Y branch where the split off occurred actually is buried, as you can see, in the ground. Again, we do that for drought tolerance, and also letting the roots, you know, the main stems will actually offshoot roots from them, so we should have a nice root ball, and that'll help, you know, larger plant, more fruit, better for us. So that's the plan. So again, a San Marzano here. This one I put in just the other day, so it's you know, it's kind of settled in. It hasn't started growing yet. It's just kind of sitting there and probably developing its root system before it starts really taking off. And again, that's our 4th Amana Orange. More marigolds. We've got our oregano here. This thing is really taken off. We're going to come down this weekend, Trish and I, and we're going to cut this down probably by half. We'll just trim this whole thing down. We'll quench it in a nice cold water bath, and then take it home and set it up for drying. So we'll dry all this, and we'll probably we'll be using this for months, and we'll probably give it, you know, a bit of it away, etc. So this is 20 times the size of what it was last year, and I don't do anything to this plant. I just dropped it in the ground last year, maybe some fertilizer here or there, but waters itself, and it's doing unbelievably well. So The chives, looking better than they have been the last few weeks. Last year these looked a little bit better. These are carryovers from last year. We've got our basil. We just planted that the other day. That's why it's not looking too well when we pruned it back. It's also off color there. I've added a lot of nitrogen into the soil there, so I expect that in another week that'll come back. There's another one over there. I expect those two plants to come back vigorously and green up. That yellow color that you see there, it's telltale. If you see that kind of lime color rather than a dark green like you would see on the oregano, that's a telltale sign of nitrogen deficiency. So you want to do a 10-10-10 or a 10-5-5 or something like that. The first number is the nitrogen, so you want a high nitrogen content. And again, in another week or so, this will pick right up and it'll green up. So this is our regular time, and then we've got our lemon time here, and we're probably going to cut this one back as well this coming weekend. What you see here, Trish actually got me this as one of my Christmas presents. Since we can't build, it's actually a fire pit, but since we can't build fires here in the community garden, I'm actually going to plant carrots in here. I'm going to fill this up, amend the soil. I'll fill it up with a little bit of good garden soil fertilizer, and then I'm going to be planting carrots inside of that perimeter. I like to do that in order to know exactly where I'm planting, kind of like a raised bed gardening, but a little bit more modular, if you will. So we're going to be doing that probably this weekend. And here we've got some lavender. Again, if you look back in my videos, probably a month or so ago, 6 weeks, this thing was basically looked dead. It's come back wonderfully. I trimmed this very little. You can see some of the brown branches there. I mean, this whole thing looked like that dead branch, but it's come back wonderfully, and as you can see, it's flowering, and happy about that. That's a carryover from last year. We've got some eggplant. We do have some infestation here. You can see the leaves, they're starting to get a little bit of holes in them, and if you see, probably can't see that on video, but I'll try and point to it there. Those are those little black bugs. Show you another one there, kind of under the leaf. Those just come naturally here in New England. We get them all the time on our eggplant, so we just have to combat them with, well, the first thing I try and do is use these rings, the home improvement, what is it, 5-gallon bucket, I guess, 3-gallon buckets. They cut them down, and they're just a ring. Here, let me show you, just a ring like I did on the kale over there, and that seems to help keep the bugs away somewhat. But as you can see, even with that, they're still managing to get to the eggplant. So I'm going to come back and probably hit them with diatomaceous earth or something like that. So next up, we've got, just to show you, we've got our netting here. We repaired that. Again, if you saw some of our older videos, this was kind of a mess. That's a brand new netting, and we're going to be planting along this fence line. We're going to actually be trying watermelon, a sugar bush watermelon, and we got some cantaloupe, special cantaloupe that we got from Baker Creek. I'll be doing that probably next weekend. I'm going to wait one more week to make sure that the weather warms up a bit, and we don't have any cool nights that would take them out at such an early stage. So if that's, you can see some corn here as well. I typically don't grow corn. I actually threw this in more as at a whim, if you will. I was able to pick up two trays of 3 at my garden center, and I figured, why not? It's a good spot for them. Let them do their thing, and I really don't have to do anything with watering or fertilizing for that matter. I did a little bit of nitrogen, but we'll just let those go, see what we get. Probably not enough corn to actually produce anything, maybe 1 or 2, but we'll see. I planted some more 4 o'clocks here. They're not coming up just yet. And then of course my peppers, you can see 3 back there, these next 3 here. Now I'm not sure, to be honest with you. I have Anaheim peppers and I have sweet bell peppers, sweet mini bells, and I'm not sure out of these 6 which are which, so I mixed them up along the way. So somewhere out of these 6 are 3 mini bell peppers and 3 are the Anaheim peppers, all from Baker Creek. And I grew these from seeds. If you see my pepper videos, you could watch their progress. And here are my, I'll say my pride and joy peppers, which are the Chinese 5 colors. I really love these plants so far. I never grew these before, but really good, nice process of getting these things to the point where they are. You know, if you watch the pepper videos that I've got, we trim these back actually twice, and these things have, you know, all of them really have come back with a vengeance and are doing very, very well. I love the coloring of these plants. I'm letting these flower. I'm just letting them do their thing. I was trimming the flowers off up until the point. You can actually see down in there, hopefully here, we do have some peppers actually starting to come up, you know, actually growth there. And, you know, I love these peppers. Probably, unless they disappoint me later on in the year, these will probably be a staple in my garden. So far, I like these a lot, just from the aspect of how they look as a plant, the color, the leaves, very consistent. You can see all 3 of those plants, the Chinese peppers, are very consistent in growth. The other ones vary. You know, not that that's a bad thing. That's fine, perfectly fine, but from a aesthetic point, if that means anything in the garden, you know, the Chinese peppers are really kind of nice looking plants. So early on, I've got a little bit of weeding to do. These I haven't really taken care of all that much. I took the ring, you know, this ring off of this one, just to see if anything comes along and tries to, you know, munch on my kale. That's not happening, and I think I'm having better luck with voles this year. I had voles that would come in. That's actually why I put this tin foil or aluminum foil there with the ring, because I had voles coming in last year and just decimating crops like the kale and even tomatoes. They were topping and just destroying it. So I think one of the reasons, if I could show you here, is my neighbors. You know, we've got our neighbors. It's a 35 by 25 plot. It's one of our friends, our neighbors that grow here. They're going to be tilling that this weekend. We've got another one here. They've started to till, but my point here is they're cutting back the underbrush. You see all of that brush there. The last 2 years, this bed and actually that garden there was completely filled with, you know, weeds and underbrush, and I think the voles and some other varmints were taking full advantage of that. They would live in the garden adjacent to us, and they would scurry through here and munch on mine and then go back home. So the fact that our neighbors are cutting down and clear cutting, if you will, their gardens, as well as I show you on the other side here. This one was also underdeveloped last year, but the fact that they're cutting them down, I think is going to help us greatly in keeping the varmints away. You know, they want cover, especially the voles. They like to have cover from flying creatures that might want to feed on them. So the fact that my neighbors are cutting down their gardens and keeping them tended, that's going to help us out quite a bit, I believe. And so far, so good. We haven't seen any evidence of rodents. So tomatoes, again, they've been about 90 days old, maybe 92 days since we planted the seeds. And these peppers, just to give you a kind of perspective of where they should be or where they are in their life's growth. We planted these just about, I want to say 112 days ago. So these went in the ground as little seeds 112 days ago, just about, well, in another week or so, it'll be 4 months since we put these in the ground. So it's been a journey, trim them back. You know, we probably took 2 or 3 weeks off the growth cycle of these plants by trimming them drastically. As you know, again, if you look at my older videos on peppers, you'll see that. But again, that pays off in the long run. We plant earlier in the house as far as the seed starting, and then we make up for it with the growth that we're going to get in the garden. So that's it for today. Again, I just wanted to show you a quick update. We're going to be tilling this weekend. It did rain. You can see it's pretty wet, the soil, as compared to some of my other videos. It was like a desert here because it hadn't rained in quite a while. So, you know, we're happy about that. But that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed this video. We'll be bringing you more videos, garden updates in the weeks to come. And also look for my grafting video probably later this weekend. We'll be uploading that and show you exactly what we did to, create the graft. Again, we had, it was an experiment. We did get one plant out of 9 that actually took, and we're happy about that. And we're going to, track its progress. So look for the grafting videos as well. Upcoming. We'll be uploading that probably tomorrow or Sunday. Today is Friday. So anyways, that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed this video, and hope to see you guys soon. If you like this video, please like us on YouTube or Google Plus and share it with your friends. And please, if you can, subscribe to our channel. That would help us out a lot, kind of spread the word. And that's about it. So have a really good day, and we will talk to you guys soon. Cheers. Okay, so here's the back side of my garden. This is actually along the west fence line. It's the second row of tomatoes that we have. The first one here is a 007. Again, it's the same vintage as the one down at the other end, 2007 Walter D's Italian plum tomato. Again, looking just like the other one, but this is typical for this plant. This is not bad as far as, it looks a little lofty, but this will come back with a vengeance once it sets. I'm pretty confident of that. The next one is Paul Robeson. This is the second or third Paul Robeson that we showed you today, doing quite well, good color. And this one will be taking off pretty soon as well. This is a Cherokee purple plant, looking good. This is one of the early ones. I think this is one of the first ones that we put in. Let me take this guy out of here. Little feather. And it looks good, right? For only being in the garden a couple weeks, this thing is taken off. The next one is a pink brandywine. This is probably, again, one of my favorites. It's a potato leaf. You can see the difference here in the leaf as opposed to a more traditional tomato leaf, which is something like that. So huge leaf. You can see it's about the size of my hand here, and this plant is doing very, very well. I'm happy with this one. I always like to plant a potato leaf in my garden if I could help it. And this year, I'm glad that I did, because you can see here, this is taking off quite well. Again, we've got some buds here. Not sure if I want to leave them on or not. I'll make that determination sometime this weekend, but I may let that one go. But as you can see, hopefully, doing very, very well. Good color, good size. That plant was planted at least a foot in the ground, and it is, if you look at that, that's at least 2 foot tall. So for June 5th, I'm really happy with that. I can't complain. So last two here are the San Marzano. Again, I think I have 3 of these in the garden, and looking a little yellowish. I might hit this one with a little bit of nitrogen, but I'll wait a couple days and see how this one does. And but I'm happy with it. It looks good. And the next 3, this is the back side, 3 of my black crim. This is actually my all-time favorite tomato, I think, at this point. Really, really good producer, and I'm looking forward to this one. I actually only had 1 of these plants last year, so I've got 1, 2, 3, and then I've got another one somewhere here in the garden. So okay, so that's the back side, and let me show you the rest of the plants. Okay, so I just wanted to show you my first cucumber that we put in today. Again, it's June 5th, and this is a Marketmore cucumber. I haven't grown this one. I actually tried this one last year. Didn't have a success with any of my cucumbers, not just the Marketmore. So I'm really hoping this one takes off. I'm going to be keeping my eye on these as far as bugs and whatnot. And I may go tomorrow and look for some shade cloth. I think I may cover my entire row of cucumbers this year with a shade cloth to try and keep the beetles away, at least until they have a chance to, get a foot tall or so and start vining and, get set. Not sure where to find that, though. I've been having trouble finding it. I may have to order it online, so I may have to wait a few days before I get that. But in any case, that's it. Look, that's what it looks like today. Hopefully in a week or so when we give you an update, this guy's starting to vine. So we'll keep our fingers crossed.